Hello, Luana here, and yes, my t-shirt says exactly what you think it does. But I wanted to get on here to talk about ableism in the witchcraft community. Yay! And the weird gatekeeping around not wanting to use technology, which I don't understand. So here's the thing. I get that when you look at witchcraft and you look at definitions of it, it's always like nature based and whatnot. And so I get the idea behind wanting things to be quote unquote natural. But I think we have to have a conversation about what the word natural means. And I have a kind of maybe minority view take on this, which is I, as a person, am natural. And when I make something, that is a part of nature. I am contributing to the ecosystem. We can have a conversation about whether or not that contribution is a positive or a negative to the ecosystem, but I am still contributing to my natural environment. So I would argue that anything that I make would count as natural, especially since most things that we make is just a refined version of nature. Well, Lou, what the fuck do you mean? What the fuck are you talking about? What kind of things are like refined nature? Look at your phone. Go ahead. Take a look at your phone. Do you know what your phone is made of? What is glass? Right? How do we make glass? Some people don't actually know, so I'm not trying to be like a dick or like, sound condescending. I'm not trying to do, the weird gatekeepy thing, but on the other side, really sit down and like look at your phone and look at what your phone is made of. You have glass, which is made from sand, right? So it's a silica. There's also sometimes I would have to look at phones specifically to know if there's any diamond components, but I do know that a lot of other technologies that use lasers, there's diamonds to help magnify the laser. So I can't speak for your phone, but there is quartz. So there is quartz in there, right? And then you have copper and all the other, bits of wiring and everything that's in there. And I would even argue plastic, which again, we can have the conversation of like good, natural, good things that I provide to nature versus bad things we provide to nature. We know that plastic is bad, but how do we make plastic, right? Dead dinosaurs, gasoline, right? Dead dinosaurs. Which is a very dumbed down. Please, I know somebody's going to be like, actually, it's not. Okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. Petroleum based byproduct. Okay, petroleum based byproduct. Petroleum. Listen, we have it, but we've refined it, and we've refined the copper, and we've refined the sand to make the glass, and we've done all these things, right? So it is still, while it is man made, there are still natural components. And man made does not mean bad. And I feel like in witchcraft, what I have found is a lot of people will use the term man made to like diminish it or to make it seem like it's a bad thing. Now, how this relates to ableism and where I will kind of end up on my soapbox here for a little bit, and I'm trying to make it quick, is that a lot of these things that we make, technology wise, helps people with disabilities. I'll give you a couple of examples. People who are blind have largely not been able to participate in tarot because tarot is a very visual experience. There are images on the cards, and people look at those images to then read the signs and symbols within those to do divination. What do people who are blind do? Are we basically telling blind people that they are not allowed to have a divination practice? I think that's kind of fucked. Okay? But, and I've never seen a deck of tarot cards that have the braille punch on them. And I think we should. I think somebody smarter than me needs to make a braille tarot deck. I think that would be awesome. However, we have digital tarot decks. And I've seen a lot of people in the tarot community sit there and say the digital tarot decks aren't good, that they're not accurate. Why? The only thing that I've heard is because the computer is the one that's doing it, but it's still a random number generator, which if you look at divination, that's all divination is. You have 78 cards or however many in your oracle deck or however many pieces of your bone set or whatever the case may be, and you are randomizing what you are doing. And a random number generator is all that is. What do you mean? And if we consecrate tools all the time, like if we sit there and we can take shit from outside, or we can buy statuary, or we can buy jewelry and we can dedicate it and enchant it or consecrate it or anoint it or whatever word you want to use, if we're able to do that, why couldn't we do that with apps, with phone apps? Why couldn't I do that with my phone? And these digital tarot apps, there was one, I would have to pull it up to find it, but I'm pretty sure they also verbally tell you what card it was that you pulled. I'm pretty sure that's a feature, or I've seen a feature in one of the apps that did that. That means that it's more accessible to people who are blind. So now blind people can participate in tarot, whereas they weren't able to before. Why wouldn't we want to let our practice be more accessible? Why would we want to talk about our practice in a way that gatekeeps it and keeps it from people just because of a physical disability that they have, or even a just a financial, inability to do things? I feel like in the community, like the pendulum will go one way and then it will swing far back the other way. I've seen people say you can't buy anything man-made. I've seen people say you can buy things man-made, like your statuary should be something that you buy, but if you buy it, it has to be cast in bronze. Who can afford that? Karen, who can afford that? Who can afford that? Why do I have to have a bronze statue? Why can't it be 3D printed? I have a fucking 3D printer. And by the way, PLA is a biodegradable plant-based plastic, so eat a dick, Karen. Fuck. Listen, y'all need to chill out. The fucking 3D printed statue is cheaper than the one that I'm gonna get on Amazon. Do I want to support Amazon? Or do I want something that I can afford? I'm gonna ask my buddy with a 3D printer to 3D print it for me because it's cheaper. So let's take a look at another example. Aside from the tarot for blind people, there was a person that came to our Witches Table Fredericksburg meeting, and they have a disability that causes them to have issues with dexterity and mobility in their hands and arms. So they were asking if it was okay to use an automatic shuffler, because the automatic shuffler would be easier for them to use. They've tried other methods of shuffling, and the cards get everywhere, and it's hard for them to collect the cards back together. I get that, right? And one of the other people was very vehemently against this person getting a card shuffler. And I was like, why? And he was like, because it's made of plastic, and plastic is bad for the environment. And I was like, okay, we can have that conversation, but like, if that's the only way that they can do tarot, well, she should just do a different type of divination. What? Like, what is wrong with letting it be more accessible? Why do we have to exclude somebody from a whole practice just because they can't do it the way we want them to do it? We can, again, consecrate things, anoint things, enchant things. Why can't she buy a card shuffler and carve a sigil into it, dedicate it just to her tarot practice, and this is the card shuffler she only uses for tarot practice? Tarot is just a random number generator. That's all the fucking card shuffler's doing. I don't think there's a difference. I don't think that there's a problem with it. One more example, and I promise I'm done. I know this video has already been too long. So, aside from that, right, I've also seen a big, like, you shouldn't post things online. Also, you shouldn't, there's no, like, you can't use tech magic because technology isn't energy. What the fuck are you talking about? The fuck are you talking about? What do you mean technology doesn't have energy? What are you talking about? It feels weird. I will be so honest with you. Like, I don't like living in the city because there's so much going on, and the amount of electromagnetic shit happening, lights on all the time, the sound pollution constantly, like, it is a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say that it is something that is good to get used to. I'm not saying that it's fun to deal with. But there is an energy there. There is an energy there. You can tap into the energy of your technology. It does exist. Just because it's not coming like from the ground doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. This is a different type of energy, and we're just not used to feeling it. We're not used to utilizing it. And there's different ways that you can do, again, related to what if you can't afford it, but you have a phone, you can have a digital altar. You can make a collage of things for your digital altar. And when we're talking about doing spells, like tech spells, people are like, oh, like, you can't do tech spells, things like that, or like, you shouldn't use tech for your spells. It's just weird, okay? I do think that if we have it, we should use it, okay? Who's to say that I didn't make a vector image, that I didn't take a sigil, turn it into a vector image, make it super transparent, and then overlay it over this video? You wouldn't fucking know. You wouldn't know. I've done it for product images. Who's to say I didn't do that for this video? You wouldn't fucking know. Why couldn't I? Why shouldn't I? Why should people not be using tech in their magic? I don't understand. Maybe it's all the Mercury in me. I know a lot of people sit there and go, oh, like, you know, when Mercury retrograde and shit like that happens, it always affects tech. And I've got a lot of Mercury in my chart, like a lot. And so I imagine that makes me want to do more tech shit than maybe other people will. But I just want people to think about what it is they're saying, what they're asking of people, and like the kinds of opinions that they have. around like magic and whatnot, and why do you think that way? And is what you are saying, or the thing that you believe about magic, is that being not just gatekeeping but prohibitive and ableist? Like, are you basically telling a blind person that they're not allowed to participate in our practices? Are you telling somebody who has, a disability, or financial insecurity, that they can't be a witch? There is a lot of like sentiments like that I see online, and people just say it with their full fucking chest, and I don't understand, and I just want people to really, really sit with themselves and think about that, um, because it doesn't make us look very good, and I want my practice to be accessible to as many people as possible, and I don't know why you wouldn't want that too.